Okay, I have to do an audio check. Okay, I have to do an audio check.
I look down at the gauges of my Ford tri-motor. Everything's all fueled up. I do a pre-launch check. Flaps are good. Ailerons are good. Everything seems to be in good working order. Everything's green. And time to kick the tires and light the fires. We fire up the lead engine of the Ford tri-motor. It fires right up. The other two engines subsequently fire up as well. And as usual, it starts to rattle and shake and sound like it's literally going to fall apart. The Tin Goose, as it affectionately became known, flew off right into the air without any problems whatsoever. Unfortunately, its destination was a rather scary one because we were going to Antarctica. Now, nobody decided to tell me this until after it was already scheduled to fly. So, and then it's like, oh, you're going to Antarctica. Well, isn't that just ducky? Okay, so we're flying to Antarctica after we set several stops elsewhere, which I'm not allowed to disclose where we're stopping at, but we stop at several other places before we get to there. But yeah, the destination is Antarctica, believe it or not. Very, very cold. Very, very barren. Not much there, except a lot of ice and maybe a few penguins and a few seals. That's it. But we're going there anyway because, hey, HQ says it's important that we be there. So we're going to get there. So we're going to get there as best we can. After making a few stops, we will get there. And so we are in the air and everything's looking green. Everything's nice and calm, except for the plane, which, as I said, rattles like a rattle trap. It literally feels like it's going to fall apart. But that's okay, because we're used to the noises that the plane makes, and we know exactly what it's going to do, what it's not going to do, what it's capable of, and what it isn't. And so we're humming right along, and our first stop will be at an undisclosed location to refuel, and then we will constantly be doing so until we finally get to Antarctica. So, this ends part one. Have a nice day. By the way, editor's note, I actually flew in a Ford tri-motor, and yes, it does rattle like a rattle trap. It does seem like it's going to fall apart at any second, but it doesn't. It holds together. Built Ford tough, right? Yeah, absolutely. And it is. Built Ford tough. Them suckers just take a licking and keep right on ticking. But yes, I actually flew in a Ford tri-motor. Scared the shit out of me. Scared the shit out of me. But we made it safe and sound to our destination. So, I mean, that's all that matters, right? Anyway, like I said, this concludes part one. Have a wonderful day, guys. Oh, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and donate. Don't forget to donate. I'll be providing links to my PayPal and my Cash App below. If you are across the pond, you'll want to use PayPal. If you're here local in the United States, you'll probably be quicker to use Cash App. Anyway, y'all have a pleasant day and a better tomorrow. Bye. I gave the aircraft full throttle and spoke to the navigator for directions on our next jump. And the navigator gave me the coordinates. And so I turned her due south and on our final leg towards the coldest place on earth. Oh my goodness. And at full throttle, we're heading out We're on our final leg, and we're going to go to the coldest place on Earth, Antarctica. And fun place to be. As the plane shakes and rattles and rolls. I'm surprised nobody ever caught that song, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. It was probably named after the Ford Trimotor. But anyways, so we're on our final leg, and we're heading out. And as we're nearing the coastline of Antarctica, I noticed that my gauges were starting to act up. And but I was already told to expect it, not to worry. That once you get further in, it'll stop. And so I start to panic a little bit, but I was told that. So we're sitting there heading towards Antarctica, and the gauges did in fact start going haywire. But then after a little bit inland, they smoothed right out. And it's like, wow, hey, they were right. It smoothed right out. So we're still trekking on, and everything's going fine. But then all of a sudden, I get this huge jolt on the poor aircraft, and it's like a hand literally reached out and grabbed my plane. And so I'm sitting there with the yoke trying to keep it stable, and but it's like something grabbed the plane and held it fast. I couldn't go forward, I couldn't go backward, I couldn't go side to side, I couldn't yaw, I couldn't axis, I couldn't pivot, I couldn't do anything. It was like a vice grip had grabbed the plane and just held it fast in place. And I'm like, what in the world do I do? And I called over the mic. What in the world do I do? And just as I'm about to do that, they said, relax. We've got your aircraft. Just relax, let go of the yoke, cut the throttles. So I did. And they had complete control of the plane, and the plane started moving slowly again forward, but at an angle this time, because it's heading downward at an angle. But it had control of my plane, and so I just released the yoke and cut all the throttle and turned off the engines and just let it do its thing. And so it starts to descend, and of course my navigator's freaking out, and the co-pilot is freaking out. And I said, guys, I was already foretold all this. Just calm down. It's going to be all right. And so it's got the hold of the plane, and it's taking the plane down, further down, and it's, and it's like, well, are we going to crash? What are we going to do? Are we going to hit something? Are we going to hit a mountain? No, we're not. We're going to be fine, guys. We're going to be fine. They're freaking out. They're losing their minds. I'm like, no, we're going to be fine. And we continue to descend, and we keep on descending. And so we just keep on descending, and we keep going and going and going. And then, I think it was either the co-pilot or navigator. I can't remember which now. But I think it was either the co-pilot or navigator. We're going to hit a mountain, they said. And sure enough, it looked like, indeed, we were going to hit a mountain. And that's the end of part 2. That's the end of part 2, folks. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, donate, especially the donate part. Especially now that I'm out on I-40 again. Let's donate. Come on, folks, let's donate. Donate. Anyways, but yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and donate. Especially the subscribe and especially the donate. Because YouTube needs the subscribe and I need the donations. Why does YouTube need me to subscribe? I don't know. Ask them. Ask them. If you can get a hold of somebody. Getting a hold of a human being in YouTube is like pulling teeth, right? You just about have to be an attorney or a judge or a police officer or something in order to get a human being at YouTube. Anyways, that's going to do it for part 2, folks. Bye. We're going to crash. co-pilot screamed out, "Brace for impact, brace for impact." Not necessarily for my benefit or the navigator's benefit, but because of the passengers that we had in the plane as well. Sure enough, our crash seemed imminent, and we all braced for impact as best we could. And then, darkness. Absolute darkness. No noise, no light, no nothing. Pitch black darkness. And it's like, are we dead? And the navigator says, no, because I'm talking to you. So, no, we weren't dead. So, we're fumbling around in the dark because that's all we can do. Because it was literally pitch black dark. You could see nothing. Not a glimmer of light anywhere. And the plane, which we thought was going to impact on the mountainside, did not. And it floated harmlessly to someplace. Flooring, maybe, of some kind of flooring. Everything was quiet. Everything was still. Absolutely no light, no sound, no noise, no nothing. Pitch black darkness and absolute quiet. Then, to my surprise, landing lights started appearing. And off to the side, we could see these craft that were disc-shaped and had swastikas on the side of them. And the co-pilot looks at him and says, "Oh my God, we've been captured by the Nazis." And I said, "Well, I've got a sidearm." And he's like, "You damn right." And so we ain't going without a fight if it is the Nazis. And of course the navigator agreed wholeheartedly. So here we are, believing that we had been captured by the Nazis, because the swastikas on the side of these discs were unmistakable, right? So we were sitting there wondering and contemplating all of that. And as we were, a calmness was put over us. I say put over us because it was done by outside forces. But a calmness was put over us that, "Put away your weapons, we are not Nazis." And it's like, okay. And at that point, the power was restored to the plane, and we were able to open up the cockpit doors and the passenger doors, and we all disembarked from the vehicle, from the aircraft. And we were greeted by these people, and they were wearing silver suits, and they escorted us back to a waiting area where we could sit down and relax, which felt good, by the way. And you say, "Well, Von, you've been sitting the whole time in the plane." Yeah, but it's different. This was very relaxing. And they made us feel at home. We were given a cup of coffee. Each of us were given a cup of coffee to drink and warm up, and because it was frigid before. It isn't frigid now. By the way, it was nice and warm there. Tropical even. Very nice. Very pleasant. Maybe too pleasant? I don't know. But everything seemed nice. And thus ends the next chapter. Hope you're staying with me thus far. Have a good day, folks. Alrighty. Well, Dabu 77 is absolutely aghast over the fact that we have found a second sun in our solar system. I have no idea why he's so shocked. I've known we were a binary system for over 10 years. But he's making it out like it's something new, something that nobody knew, which I imagine many Americans and many people around the globe did not know we were a binary system because there wasn't much talk about it. But yeah, I already knew we were a binary system. Dabu 7, for those of you who don't know, Dabu 7 is talking about the recent pictures from NASA's website where they have the sun. And when you look at these pictures from the sun, you see a very large round object which is encircling the sun, and it is called a binary system. We are a binary system. We have a brown dwarf and we have a sun. And I've known this for over 10 years. This is not something surprising, but Dabu 7 apparently has been caught completely by surprise and is now saying, oh my God, we have this big sun-sized object in co-orbit with, well, I don't know if you'd call it a co-orbit. I guess in co-placement with the sun. And it's very large, and it's the same size as the sun. And it's like, well, yeah, surprise, surprise, Sergeant Carter. It's called a brown dwarf. Google that shit. And I've known this for a long, long time. And I guess it's just new information to him. It's old information to me. Like I said, I've known we were a binary system for over 10 years. You know, now, granted, the opportunity to get pictures was very rare because NASA would always scrub them out. They always scrubbed out the second sun. Why? I don't know. They just wanted to do that. Well, anyway, they forgot these, and so they clearly show that the brown dwarf sun that is in co-placement with our active sun, and something, like I said, that I've known for over 10 years. So I just thought I'd report on it in case anybody finds it and comes running to me and said, Bon, there's a big sun-sized object out there. And it's not Atlas. Yeah, no, it's our binary sun system. Okay, we have two suns. We have a brown dwarf and we have an active sun. And it's always been that way. You know, I guess one of the reasons why they try to get, they don't talk about the brown dwarf sun very much is because if they do, that would indicate that we are a much older solar system than they want to admit. You have an active group of people out there that want to admit that our solar system is a young solar system. It is not. In fact, moving from the tip of Sagittarius, which is at the extreme edge of the galaxy, to the spur, as they call it, of what was it? What was the name of the arm? I forget the name of the arm. Anyway, to the spur of another arm. Okay, we went from Sagittarius to the spur of another arm. Okay, well, when you go to a spur is a arm that is a lot shorter. It's about half the length of a normal arm. Therefore, when any planets or any solar systems that are at the tip of the spur are going to be considerably older. Why? Because they're considerably closer to the center of the galaxy. And the closer you go to the center of the galaxy, the older the solar systems become. So, to make a long story short, we are a lot older solar system by moving to the Orion. I think it's the arm of Orion. I believe it is. But Orion's arm is not an arm, it's a spur. It's only half length, which means we are a lot closer to the center of the galaxy, which means we're a lot older solar system than we were when we were on the very tip of the arm of Sagittarius. So, for those of you that are believing in 7,000 years or whatever, well, I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint you. If you wanted the 7,000, you should have stayed at the arm of Sagittarius. Because now that we're on the spur of and I just lost it again. Damn it, Olympus, whatever. Now that we're on this spur arm, a half arm, if you will, a piece of an arm, we are a lot closer to the center of the galaxy, which means we are considerably older by thousands and thousands, perhaps, yea, even millions of years older than first believed. And the fact that we are a binary star system, like I said, is something I've known for 10 years. And, now we finally have pictures from NASA. You can go to Dabu77's YouTube page and see it for yourself. They apparently forgot to scrub these pictures, and so now you can clearly see the brown dwarf sun that is in co-stationary placement with our active sun. And it's there, and it's loud and proud, and, hey, welcome to reality, folks. You wanted an older system. Well, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, you got it. Now, you say, well, Vaughn, isn't moving from the arm of Sagittarius to the arm of God damn it, I just lost it again. Anyway, moving from Sagittarius to the other arm, isn't that because CERN turned on their damn machine back in 2012? Yes, actually it is. According to some people, CERN saved us in 2012 from being destroyed. And they did so by turning on their Hadron Collider and turning on their D-Wave computer and firing up their fusion reactor and launching us, propelling us into an alternate reality where we were not destroyed in 2012. Yay, team. I would love to believe that is the case, but no, I think they just turned it on because they wanted to. I don't think it was to save us. I do not believe that the people of CERN are white hats. Sorry, I don't buy it. Sorry. Especially when you got one of their employees wearing 2 placards around his neck that basically told you the Mandela effect is real. Remember the video, Happy at CERN? Anybody remember that video, Happy at CERN, where the guy is sitting there with 2 placards around his neck? And when you figure out what the placards mean, they mean Mandela effect. Yeah, so they know what they're doing. They know they're fucking with our reality. And you know what? They don't give a shit. They do not care. Even though that it has huge ramifications. I mean, can you imagine going to bed with a wife and children and then waking up the next day after CERN turned on their damn infernal machine only to find that your wife and children now no longer exist because in this new alternate reality you were never married? Can you imagine what that would do to somebody? It'd probably drive them insane. And it for sure would get them thrown in the funny farm. But wait a minute, I was married. And they're like, no, dude, you were never married. Because in this reality, you were never married. You get it? And the previous one that you just left, you were married. But then when you got flung into this new one, you are not married. It's just like what you watch the Zapruder film, okay? The Zapruder film is the canary in the coal mine, okay? You watch the Zapruder film, and you're either going to have 6, 5, 4, or 3 people in that vehicle, right? Okay, so if you are of a mind that the real Zapruder film is 6 people in the car, and then you watch the Zapruder film the next day and there's only 4 people in the car, then you're going to say, aha, the Mandela effect has been turned on. Or CERN has been turned on and has once again flung us into an alternate reality, hence the Mandela effect. And so that would be and so the Zapruder film is the canary in the coal mine. I am constantly going and watching the Zapruder film to see if it's changed, because if it has, then that means CERN's been fucking around with our reality, right? And I don't know, I guess the Zapruder film was one of those times in our history that was just so significant that it creates a marker of a sort, you follow me? It's a key event, okay? And because it's a key event, it's useful as a tool to give us an idea of when CERN is turning on their machine and flinging us into yet another reality that for some stupid ass reason, who knows what the reasoning is. They have to realize the implications of what they're doing, though, because they could destroy families. They could destroy, can you imagine? Okay, you're a steel worker, all right? You're just an example. You're a steel worker. You go to bed. You get up at 5 a.m. the next day to go to work. You're no longer a steel worker. You no longer have your job. Because CERN turned on their damn machine. and turned on their D-Wave computer and turned on their fusion reactor. You know, and we're supposed to be okay with that. We're supposed to say, oh well, you know, big deal, tough shit. You're now out of a job. You know, or you no longer have your wife and kids because in this new alternate reality that CERN flung us into, you were never married. That sucks. You know, everybody keeps saying we can't find the movie Sinbad that had Sinbad in it where he played a genie. Well, of course you can't, because we're in an alternate reality, silly. We're not in the reality we were in when he actually did it, when he actually made the movie. We're in an alternate reality. So
Just what the fuck is this man talking about? I have absolutely no idea. So he said something about CERN in 2012 turning something on, and then there's some kind of a computer. You wake up in the morning and your family's gone, your job is gone. How are you going to feel then? I mean, and what the fuck is this guy on about? Um, Fascinating, I must say.
suck it up, Buttercup. You're in an alternate reality that is not the same as the one you were in. You know, I was the reality I was in. I used to be a real space nerd. I used to be big on the planets and shit. And when you back where I come from, when you Googled where Earth was, it was at the very tip of the arm of Sagittarius, which means it was a very young solar system, which means the Christians could celebrate it being a young solar system by saying, "Oh yeah, we're only 7,000 years." You know, it's still too young. 7,000 is still way too young. But anyway, they could make that argument. See, now that we're on the spur of Olympus, or whatever the name of this arm is. Now that we're on the spur, they can't make that argument anymore because we're closer to the center of the galaxy, which means we're an older, much older solar system than first interpreted. Okay, you understand? You get it? Hopefully that clears everything up. But yeah, Dabu 7's over there having a coronary because he's found the brown dwarf sun that has always been there, at least in this reality. It's always been there. But I've known this for about 10 years now. And now we finally have actual evidence that you can look at, and, you know, from NASA themselves, that you could look at. Why? So, well, Vaughn, why is NASA finally exposing the brown dwarf? I don't know. Maybe they're like, okay, you know, either Atlas is going to conquer us, or Apophis is going to destroy us. So who gives a fuck? We might as well just tell them that there's a brown dwarf out there. And by the way, according to NASA at least, brown dwarfs are very, very powerful magnetically. So could this have an impact on Atlas or Apophis? Yeah, it very well could. But I just found it interesting that Dabu 7's freaking out over something that I've known now for almost 10 years. I just find that hilariously funny for some reason. Anyway, that's going to do it. You know, have a wonderful day and better tomorrow. Bye.
Jesus Christ. Have you ever heard such bullshit in your life? Oh boy. So, all I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is my friends, always question everything, because if you don't, you'll end up believing the BS that Von Helton feeds you. So I'm going to cut this short. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back soon, as you know, and we'll see you then. No, and we'll see you then. No, and we'll see you then.